Hi and welcome to the 7th episode of my video podcast. This is a podcast where I talk about knitting, dyeing, textile-y things, sometimes sewing, bits and bobs like that. Today I am going to update you on some of my knitting projects, tease you a little bit about some natural dyeing, and I have some exciting news, I don't know. I have something at the end I'm going to share with you as well. So there we go. My name on Instagram is Orchid's Heart. I'm filming this in Birmingham. I'm actually in my spare room stroke home office. This is where I spend the bulk of my time during the week. It used to be quite a, personality-less room. It was kind of empty. You can kind of see some junk and boxes here, which I try to hide for the purposes of this video. But this corner of the room is quite nice because it's behind my computer, so when I have Zoom phone calls, they don't see the chaos, they see like the nice planty bit. But yeah, there we go. Instagram and Zoom meetings are all about what you can see from the camera perspective rather than necessarily real life, of which you can't really tell, but there is a really big nice clock behind me and it's not plugged into anything yet, so it perpetually reads 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Continually confuses people on Zoom meetings. I have to admit I have no idea what time of day it is at the moment. I've had a lovely weekend so far, but quite draining. I've spent the bulk of yesterday and today naturally dyeing. I have to say, I really have respect for people that dye for a living. It's exhausting. But also because I tried to be a little bit more relaxed about it this time. And if you follow me on Instagram, you would have noticed I posted a picture of a pan which I've probably wrecked. I totally incinerated the yarn and the pan, and the yarn was beyond saving. I had to bin it. It was totally burnt, so it was all broken up. Completely my fault. I'll explain what I was trying to do with that when I talk about my natural dyeing, which might end up being in a separate video because it's all drying at the moment, so I can't really show you the fabulous colours I've managed to get. So I think I'm going to do a short separate video this week, which is just going to be showing what I did with the plants, what colours I got, and then some of them I'm going to like follow up with an over dip with mordant, with an iron mordant, which I'll explain in that video. So the colours will change. So I'll probably film 2 segments and shove them together, and it'll be like a mini episode later this week. So maybe we'll get 2 episodes this week if you're lucky. Kind of depends how much free time I have in the evenings. I do have quite a busy week coming up next week because I'm off for a week, which is really lovely. I'm going to London for the first time in God knows how long, since way before COVID started, but only for a couple of hours. It's for work. We're scoping out a music, theatre, sensory event thing for work. So yeah, and then I'm on annual leave for a week, so we're going to go see family in Suffolk, and my family down south in another part of the south, because Suffolk is south. But yeah, enough about all of that. I hope I introduced myself. I'm Orchid's Heart on Instagram. Can't remember if I said that. I think in the banner at the top of my YouTube page, there's like a little, in the corner, like an Instagram logo, and you can click on that and it takes you to my page. If I remember, I'll put a link below as well. And I'm quite active on there in terms of showing, if you use Instagram, the knitting, the sewing, the baking, the dyeing, and all those bits and bobs. So yeah, so we'll start with finished objects, I guess. And I've got two finished objects, both of which I'm really relieved are done. Don't think I really enjoyed knitting either of them, to be perfectly honest, which is rare for me because I actually quite enjoy knitting, so this was a bit of a drag. So the first one is these really ugly ICI socks. If you've seen previous videos, the sock blockers are actually a bit small for them. You'll know that I was knitting these for my partner's birthday. Oh, is it going to focus on that? I don't know that it does. Yeah, maybe it is better back here. So I'm going to take it off the blocker actually. So my blockers are for my size feet, not for his. If I thought I was going to make lots of pairs of socks in his size, I'd probably buy some bigger blockers as well. But I have to be honest, it's done a good enough job and he won't care, so it's not really a problem. I have woven in the ends, but I haven't trimmed them yet because I was listening to something that Andrea Mowry said, and she said that she weaves in her ends, she leaves the tails, she blocks, and then obviously the jiggling around all those fibres do when you're blocking and letting it rest afterwards, they tend to settle into place a bit more, and then she trims them. So I was going to do that, so I still need to trim the ends, but I have woven them in. So it does feel quite nice actually. Anyway, these socks, ICI are some defunct industrial water treatment company, I think, in England that don't exist anymore. And my partner, which you can't really tell in this room and perhaps not in any other rooms I've filmed in, has a really big passion for industrial stuff, for old British companies that don't exist anymore and things like that. And ICI is one of those. And I said I'd knit him some socks for his 35th birthday, which is in a week or two now. And I really had no idea what sort of socks to knit him. I was going to knit some in the colour scheme of a British power station, but in all honesty, without actually telling him that, I couldn't find out the information of which ones he liked and what colour schemes he liked. That sounds like an obscure thing, but like half the rooms in this house are painted using colour schemes of power stations. Now I could have just made some socks themed off one of the rooms in our house, but there weren't any that particularly I was drawn to. I mean, for instance, our bedroom, which I don't particularly love, is this shade of orange. Some like, I don't think I have a shade of blue here. It would be the same. Not particularly, not my shade of blue, like a very blue. I like quite grey blues. And cream. There's like this weird colour blocking of it. Yeah, not a big fan of it. But, you know, it makes him happy. I've obviously got rooms that I put my stamp on and I don't spend very much time in the bedroom anyway, I just sleep there, so it doesn't really matter to me. But the living room is also some interesting colour block situation. But I'm hoping I can redecorate that at some stage. Maybe if I paint it blue like this room. I quite like a blue-grey room. But yeah, so I settled on making these with the name of the initials of the company on it. I've only done one side. Doing colour work, so doing it both sides. I found it really hard to get it over his foot. You know, being a man, he's got quite big feet. Maybe that's a sweeping generalisation, but he has got, you know, size 10, 11 feet. I'm actually not sure which. Maybe that's not a good girlfriend thing. And they're quite long and skinny, so sort of like, yeah, I just found it really hard without making them look really baggy and colourwork really loose and sloppy. I couldn't get it to work. So I just did duplicate stitch on one side for those. So they've turned out okay. I used West Yorkshire Spinners in Tumeric for the orange, which I don't like. I think it's too pale a colour, but he does, he's happy. Then Jawoll in the colour Taupe and Charcoal to do those, which I bought from Loop London online. So, oh, and then the toe, so I didn't really follow a pattern, I just did a standard basic sock. 68 stitches on 2.5mm needles, so the gauge is a bit looser than I would normally do, partly out of laziness. The idea of doing all of this in 2mm needles made me feel a bit kind of like, oh, as it was, it took a long time. And with a barn toe, again out of laziness because I don't really enjoy doing the Kitchener stitch wedge toe. So there we go. So I'm going to wrap these up later or sometime this week, put them aside for his birthday. Hopefully that will make him happy. Then the next finished object is another, feels like long time coming finished item. Ta-da! And I am quite pleased with this. This is my Nurtured pullover or nurtured sweater, I can't remember which one she calls it, by Andrea Mowry of DRK Knits, I think her knitting company is called. And the yarn is Woolly Mammoth Natural Sock DK in Winter's Hymn or Winter's Eve, I'm not sure which. And it's a very lightly coloured yarn with like lots of flecks, which you can kind of get the overall impression. You can see there's lots of flecks of very subtle different colours, and it's all naturally dyed. However, I don't know how, maybe you can see that there, for all of the ribbing, it's in a very like pale pink, so slightly different colour to the body. This is because I bought 4 skeins of this yarn full price from her website, and I thrifted a skein of Natural Sock DK in pale pink and fawn. And I thought I would be a bit tight on yarn, so I did all of the ribbing in this because I was like right on the edge with my 4 skeins and having enough. I think I might have had enough to do the whole thing in the Winter's Hymn in the end, because I do have about 89 grams left and my sleeves are a little bit too long. So I probably would have been fine. But at the same time, by the time I found out my sleeves were too long, I probably would have run out maybe, and I wouldn't have had enough to do the neckband. And I quite like the contrast. So I have about 89 grams of the Winter's Hymn left, and probably about 50 grams of the pale pink left. And I have in my dye pot downstairs, I've over dyed the fawn because I didn't really like it. So I either need to make something combining all 3 or just some of them, I don't know. Maybe I will make a matching headband with the rest of the Winter's Hymn. I'm not really sure. I have slightly nervous about making a hat or headband in a nice yarn that's that pale, because I dye my hair with henna, which I did yesterday actually, and when it's freshly dyed, for the first few days or the first couple of washes, when it gets wet, colour does come out. So I get a bit wary, though it's never happened. I've never accidentally dyed a top or anything like that, but then I don't really wear that many pale colours. I am a little bit worried that I could accidentally dye the hat, and also that if my hair was damp from the rain and I was wearing the hat for half an hour or something, then that would, you know, give even more chance to like dye the hat. So yeah, I don't know, and I don't really want to knit a liner to go inside it, although that would be very cosy. But anyway, I'm going to put this on. There is still a lifeline that I put in before I did the short rows. I'm not sure you'll be able to see it on camera. So the pattern calls for Aran weight yarn, and I've done this in DK, partly because obviously you get more meterage for a DK. Also, cuff is damp and I don't know why. Also, when she released this yarn, she only had it in a DK rather than an Aran. So I bought DK, and if you've seen previous episodes, you will see that I started knitting a different jumper with it, didn't like it, ripped it out, and did this one instead. And I've basically copied Emma of Woolly Mammoth Fibres because she did the same, but she did hers in Aran weight. But I actually really like the feel of it in the DK. It's not too heavy. For a cropped jumper, I don't know that I want something super thick because I'm wearing it over dresses and things like that. Sorry, I'm trying to get into position. I've still got a dodgy ankle, so I need to be a bit careful about the way I move. Oh, how unflattering. So I'm going to cut my head off a bit here. So as you can see, the sleeves are a bit long, but probably I'll just fold the cuffs back. That doesn't really bother me anyway. You know, when I'm doing stuff around the house, I'll probably fold over again as well. So yeah, the sleeves are too long, but whatever, I can live with that. It's knit bottom up. You get to about here on the sleeves and the body, and then you join everything up. I will say this bothers me a little bit. There's like this weird bunchy bit. And I did then notice when I went back through Instagram, a lot of people, when they're taking photos in the nurtureds, kind of really put their shoulders back, which maybe is good posture, I don't know, and sort of like puff up their chests a bit like, I don't know, it makes me think of pigeons. And if you do that, it doesn't show up. And so I sort of wondered if everybody was disguising their little nub that you get. So if I puff up my chest like a pigeon, it's less pronounced, but I think I'll just have to live with it. Don't really know if there's anything I can do about it. Also, the collar, I thought, because I've never done a bottom up before actually, so I thought binding off, I should bind off in a super stretchy bind off, so I thought that's what I'll do. Is it like Judy or Jenny's super stretchy bind off? I can't remember which. I'll do that. I got about this far round and it just looked really blown out and horrid and flappy. So I thought, right, no, I'm gonna have to rip that out. Luckily, I put a lifeline in before I started binding off. I did actually do 2 stitches of the bind off and thought, I'm gonna regret not putting a lifeline in here. And I'm really glad I undid those 2 stitches and put a lifeline in. So then I could just rip out what I'd done so far on the bind off and just start again. And then I just did a bind off in pattern, so just a rib bind off. And when I put it on before blocking, it did still look a bit flappy and was sort of standing up on itself. But blocking is so amazing. It's now quite flat and sits quite well. I think on the back, the raglan is not quite as far back as I would have liked. I guess I would like it like another inch or so further back. I don't know whether that's my fault because I've used DK rather than Aran, and that will obviously affect the fit. But you know, like, I mean, maybe I can get a bit closer. I don't know if you can see that, and it does stretch out the seam a little bit. So I don't know if that's going to be a weakness in the jumper over time. I might save a bit of the yarn so that I can mend it in the future. Is something I'm sort of thinking about doing, is getting like a bit of a box or a big jar going with yarn scraps and labelling what I made with that yarn, so if I wore through the elbow or something, you know, something like this, I probably wouldn't want to go down the route of visible mending. Like, I have no issue with like visibly darning socks or something like that, but for some things like this, to me it's a bit of a more, I don't know, slightly more elegant looking colour palette, and I think that would be ruined if it had like some crazy contrasting like elbow patch in the future, because I mean it will eventually wear through. So I probably will save some of the yarn for mending, and maybe if that does cause me a problem in the future I can do something about that too. But yeah, so I mean overall I am quite pleased. You won't be able to see in this video, but it does go really well with my my high-waisted green trousers, which I've got on. So yeah, and over dresses and stuff as well, it would be quite nice. So though I was initially quite disillusioned when I put it on after finishing it, because the fit felt really weird here and with the neck and all of that, I think I am quite happy with it, and I think I will wear it a lot. And the natural sock DK actually feels really lovely. I kind of have mixed feelings about her 4-ply because it's quite stringy, and I've been talking to a friend about this, like the colours are really lovely. Emma does really beautiful colours, but I don't think I am prepared to knit socks in 100% wool, because I like having longevity with a bit of nylon in there. So I've been using my 4-ply natural sock to make more things like shawls and stuff, and it's not, this feels quite soft and it's not really itchy, just feels like a nice solid woolen jumper. So I think I would definitely, I mean I've got some more to make a hat or some thick mittens or maybe some house slipper socks, whatever I'm going to use my other like maybe 2 and a bit skeins of in various colours. I think I definitely would make a jumper from Natural Sock DK again, although it is quite an investment price-wise. I mean, the yarn is about £20 a skein, so that is quite an indulgence for me. I wouldn't normally do that, but yeah, this was a treat, and hopefully I'm going to have it for a really long time. But yeah, anyway, that was a big section about my nurtured sweater. Works in progress then, I guess. I'll start with one that I maybe shared with you last time, or at least said I was going to be doing. And this is another one that took me a while to get going on because I started knitting something else with it, didn't like it, started over. And it's using my Woollenflower yarn. The base is called Twig, and it's like this gorgeously soft alpaca, linen and silk blend, and it just feels fabulous. So this was 2 of the skeins I bought. I also bought a blue and a yellow, and I couldn't really find a pattern that I wanted to make with it. I really wanted to make a shawl, and I really wanted the grey to have some plain knitting, like not, you call it stockinette, don't you? Because that's, you can see the flecks of the different colours and they're better. So I've started making up a shawl pattern using some short rows, some stripes, holding the yarn double in different combinations, you know, just purple and pink. I'm going to do a bit at some point with just pink. Yeah, and some stripes I'll do, and like just mix it up like that. So I'm kind of making it up as I go along, doing creases at the start and end of the rows, and I'm really enjoying it. Not having a pattern is quite good fun because you can kind of just make it up. Yeah, and it's going to feel really like fabulously soft. I'm trying to let go of that feeling where, you know, you buy precious yarn and you don't know what to do with it and you're scared about it not being the perfect thing. And probably this isn't the perfect thing to be using the yarn for. But honestly, I think she participated in Botanical Yarn Fest a few months ago when they did it, and I talked about that, and that's when I bought the yarn. I bought 4 skeins. I love the yarn so much. I am definitely, for next Botanical Yarn Fest, going to buy another skein of the teal and maybe some fluff to go with the yellow. And with the 2 skeins of the blue, I'm going to hold them double and make a tegna, because this just feels so amazing. And depending on my financial situation at the time, you know, how much yarn or fabric shopping I've been doing around then, I might buy 2 more skeins of the grey to make a tegna or something in the grey as well, because it's 100% my colour, it's really lovely and it just feels amazing. And yes, it's £20 a skein, but it's £20 a skein, it's not hundreds of pounds. So yes, this shawl probably is going to cost me about £40 to make, but at the end of the day that's actually not that much money for a shawl when in the knitting world anyway. So I'm going to let go of the stress of, was this the perfect project to make with it, and just enjoy knitting it, and hopefully I will enjoy wearing it as well. If the overall finished project looks a bit weird, I 100% know that I will still enjoy wearing it in the house with the feel of it. It'll be so nice and soft and snuggly. It feels like wearing a bit of a blanket. So even if it does come out looking a bit strange, because I've made the pattern up, I'm not too worried. I mean, you can spend £40 on drinks on a night out, and as far as I'm concerned, spending it on yarn is a much better way of spending that money. So yeah, and I've got it in my, not that I need to justify myself to you guys, but I kind of feel like I do sometimes, which is really bad. That's not true. No judgment on anybody on buying yarn. And I'm using my handmade pouch bag that I made. Yeah, which I love. So actually, There was something I was going to share with you, and I don't think I have it here. I might have to go get it in a minute. Yeah, I think it's in the other room. I will share that after I've shared my other works in progress. I always think I can get this video done in like 20 minutes or half an hour, and it always ends up going on forever. Sorry. I quite like long podcasts, but I feel like I'm talking quite a lot quite quickly. And I hope it's digestible. It's not too much. So, my next work in progress is I decided I was going to learn toe up socks. So I bought 3 a while ago now when I bought the yarn for my partner's socks. I bought 3 like mini, they're called boulettes. They're by a French company. It's all attached, so I'm trying to show you whilst I'm attached. I think I might, if I remember, I'm going to put a video I filmed of the 3 wrapped up on a shelf at the start. Ah! I'm dropping them all. What is this attached to? Is it attached? Oh, it is. Oh shit, it's got tangled up. That's why. That's why I'm struggling to show you. It's got attached to my row counter. Sorry, I'm trying to... It's quite a hefty row counter. I was going to share with you later. Oh, this is annoying. Okay. So, there's this one, which was called Skinny Dipping. This one, which is called Waiting for the Tooth Mouse. And they've both got very slight variations in tone. And then this one, which is my favourite, but with the worst name, Slipping Fingers in the Door or something like that, which makes me feel a bit sick actually, but because it is 100% the colour my fingers went when I trapped them in the door. Is it focusing? I really can't tell with my phone sometimes if it's focusing or not. So I'm not sure when it's flipped around how well it focuses. But I need to see what I'm doing, otherwise probably I'd be waving things around over there and you wouldn't be able to see what I was talking about. God, this is a bit of a mess now. I need to do some detangling later. So I did Judy's Magic Cast On, I think it's called, for the toe. Started with 12 stitches on each needle and then kept increasing until I had 64. And then I'm just doing like random stripes. For some of them, I'm trying to see where the light is better. For some of them I'm holding the yarn and carrying it up the inside, where I've got lots of stripes of the same colour. For instance, I cut off the pink after the 2 stripes and then I carried the grey all the way down. And I'm just kind of doing, for the first one, what I feel like doing. I think I'm at the point now where I'm going to do a German short row heel, which I've never done before. So I've stopped there, and maybe this evening I'm going to sit down and figure that one out. And I want to do one without, where it's just the heel, so there's no band coming round as well. I'll just have to show you what I mean next time if I get it right. And I'm going to do the heel in the pink and the cuff in the pink. And the reason why I wanted to learn toe up, because in situations like this, when I've only got 60 grams of the yarn, 60 grams is enough to make a pair of socks for me. They won't be particularly long, but you know, they'll be long enough. It means I can use all of the yarn up and there won't be any left, which is quite appealing to me. And I don't know if you'll be able to see. Can you see? I think you can see. I have on there a stitch marker I made with a star and a little glass bead. I made some sets of stitch markers, and this is something I was going to show you, which I need to go grab in the other room. And I was selling them on Instagram, and I probably could make a few more sets if anybody's interested. Definitely of the stars. I did have some really lovely ones with a moon on. But if a few of you are interested, I could buy some more moons, because I did sell all of the moons. But I'll show you, I'll grab that in a minute and I'll show it to you. But yeah, so that's my socks. So that's kind of been my work knitting. But I need to wait till I've learnt done the heel this evening, so that then I can carry on knitting the leg during tomorrow's meetings. I like to have something easy on the go, so that when I've got a meeting with my team, you know, not outside organisations, I can do a bit of knitting whilst chatting to them. And now I've got another horrific tangled mess to show you. I knew I'd regret doing this. So I bought a while back last year some naturally dyed 4-ply by Woolly Mammoth, like a mini skein set and this 100-gram skein. Bought them on separate occasions, and I've been dreaming about making some really lovely colourwork mittens using the chart from these socks. So I made these socks already for my mum, and I really liked the idea of having the houses on the wrist and then having a mitten, maybe like a flip top mitten, you know, where you've got the flap, because I have some of those and they're really helpful. And so I started, as you do with the sock, using one of the contrast colours for the cast on, and then I started knitting the houses. And as you can see, though the skeins were contrasting quite well, in the colourwork they don't stand out at all, like it's barely visible. And those skeins I was using are those, like I think the contrast in the skeins is pretty good. I thought it'd be fine, but someone said to me it's because they're both quite cool colours, they don't stand out. So I'm going to rip that out. And last night whilst I was at the pub, cast on another version. So I've done the cast on in pink and I've started doing the cuff, and I'm going to do the houses in, do I have the rest of the skein there? I'm going to do the houses in that yellow, and I've done that as the other contrast colour. So it'll be pink, purple, houses in yellow, and then there's like a few flecks, a few blocks of pink afterwards. So, as you can see here. And then I've got to work out how the hell you knit a mitten, because I have no idea. I think Tin Can Knits has a sort of recipe, and I'm hoping I can bodge together somehow the cuff of my mitten with one of their mitten patterns. If anybody knows of a mitten pattern 4-ply with 64 stitches, tell me, because that would be amazing. If not, I'm just going to kind of have to work it out. I'm hoping it won't be too bad, but definitely I'll put a lifeline in, and then if it goes wrong, it goes wrong, it's not a problem. So I did have a couple of purchases this month, but not yarn acquisitions, and it's going to be really quick, because when I say a couple I mean actually one. But I wanted to show you because I think it's really pretty. Just trying to find where it's gone, because I spent a long time actually looking for something like this. So previously for stitch counters, row counters, I have used those horrible red and white plastic things. I find I use row counters quite a lot. And so I bought this, I don't know if you can see, it's got like sunflowers and lavender, by Twill and Print, on a UK company, because they're Canadian, a UK company called Beautiful Knitters. And I think Botanical Yarn sells them as well in the UK. Bought that one, and I've got another one, just trying to find it, which is really pretty. Oh heck, I hope it's not in the pub. Oh, here we go. Oh, I think it's focusing. That's so annoying. I think the focus is here, but then it's quite small. It's got like a moon at the top, a skein of yarn and some lavender, and it counts up to 9 because it's only got one style on this one. They did do, this one was my favourite, they did do one like that in a bigger one, but the matching like motif that goes with that is a moth with a skull on its head. I didn't really like the skull on the head of the moth, so I went for this one. And they're really lovely. I am thinking, because it's a pin badge so you can pin it to your project bag, but I didn't really want to do that because it'll make a big hole in my bag. I might, I don't know if you can see that, clip off the knobs and like sand it back so that it's just a big metal counter. This one's quite good because it's like a progress keeper, so you can put it at your start of round. And yeah, I really like them. They've got a nice weight to them. Was a little bit of an indulgence, but I will use them a lot, and I really like having pretty things to work with when I'm knitting, and I'm trying not to buy any more yarn. I've also been starting to wind up all of my skeins of yarn for my Beetle Magic cardigan jumper that I'm going to do at some point. I've got 12 of these skeins to wind up into balls. We're about a quarter of the way through because I'm holding the yarn double. So something like 1,300 meters I'm winding up by hand. Well, when I say by hand, I have a Swift and a ball winder, but it's still taking me a really long time. But yeah, so I'm going to grab that thing that I said I was going to share with you, so I'll be back in a second. I hope that's okay. You can enjoy my background whilst I'm gone. Sorry, the more I cut and edit... Oh, actually, you can see my jumper stood here. It's a better view for you. I should have thought of that. Sorry, my floorboards are really creaky. But yeah, so... And this is a lichen duster by So Liberated, which I made using a vintage William Morris curtain. So... Actually, I can turn around. It's got really big pockets, and this is a thrifted shirt which I'm going to change the collar on because the colour was a bit strange. I'm going to make it better. However, I've been saying that for 2 years and I've not done it yet. So the more I cut videos and chop them up, the harder it is for me to upload it because my computer and my internet can't handle it. So I'm hoping in here. Yes. So a couple of weeks ago, I made some stitch markers. So this has a moon and a star. Maybe I will have to insert footage, which is a bit annoying. It's another thing my computer struggles to render. Yeah, maybe I'll insert it. It's got like a moon, a star and a glass bead. And I made some flowers. So if anybody did want any, pop me a message on Instagram and I can tell you what I've got available and what I could make. I sold a few sets already. I kind of did it because I wanted some for myself, and I thought, well, I mean, this is what I usually end up doing. I decide I'm going to make something for myself, and then I make a few extra to share with everyone else if other people want them as well. And I have quite a few bits left, so I could definitely do more, especially with flowers. Which leads me to my last final thing I'm going to share with you. So I've been umming and ahhing about doing a giveaway. Because, if I'm honest, I find them a bit cringy. I rarely participate in giveaways because to me it seems very much about gaining numbers, gaining followers. I hate it when you get tagged in a giveaway from like a really big shop and like thousands of people are tagging loads of people in. And you know, part of that's selfish. I think it's very unlikely that I will win it, so I can't be bothered. So I don't really tend to join in those. And then you end up with people just tagging you in random stuff you're not even interested in. So I find it a bit weird. But I possibly have some quite exciting news in the near future I need to announce. And so I need to do some practicing with things like giveaways and stuff. So I'm going to do one, but I'm trying to think of a way to do it where it's not quite so, I don't know. I'm not really communicating myself very well. I didn't start this to get loads of followers. I didn't start this to make money. I do make and sell a few things on Instagram, but to be honest, it's pocket money. It enables me to buy fancy row counters and things like that, or fancy yarn, which I wouldn't be able to afford on my essentially minimum wage job. So by sharing my creativity, I'm able to make a little bit of money that allows me to buy like nice things. So yeah, I mean, this is a lot of babbling. So I'm going to do a giveaway. It's going to be a small one because I have to pay for the postage abroad myself and I don't want to make it just for the UK. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to give away a set of stitch markers and a little cyana type print that I did. I might have said that wrong because I've never heard someone say it out loud. So the stitch markers are these. So it's a flower, progress keeper, and then 4 stitch markers with glass beads, and the glass bead colours are inspired by the progress keeper. So they're really pretty, I think, anyway. So yeah, it's going to be those, and maybe I'll insert a photo in because I'm not sure that they're loving life on my phone at the moment, but I promise you it's really pretty. And then this like cyanotype print I did, which maybe doesn't really appeal to people, but I thought as like a nice little combo, it was quite a nice little thing to win. So I hope you don't mind that it's a small giveaway. But you know, if you're interested, you can join in. Absolutely no pressure, because giveaways I feel like are very, like, I don't know whether you're into them or not. And so in order to be part of the giveaway, I would just like you to, as lots of you do anyway, leave me a comment below and tell me maybe what you're up to, what you're working on at the moment, or if you have any toe up sock tips that you want to share. Anything really, I just like hearing from you. And unless I somehow get massively inundated with responses, I will respond. Can I respond to them all? If I respond, am I going to mess up the giveaway? See, this is why I need to practice, because I have no idea. Just remembering that sometimes people say, no, I'm not going to respond because then I bias the results. But then if I responded to everybody, maybe it wouldn't matter, because if it did ping me up, I would just go again until it was the first person that wasn't me. Maybe. Okay. Leave a comment below telling me what you're up to. Or, you know, a comment about anything really, I'm not that bothered. And if you could like the video as well and subscribe to it, that makes me so awkward and uncomfortable to say. But if you do that and you comment below, I will pick someone out and I will send those off to them. And I reckon you probably have 3 weeks or so until I do another video. And that's when I will pick somebody out. And hopefully that's not too tricky to do. I believe there's a comment selecting thing you can do. That's what it sounds like anyway. I've done very minimal research into this. But best that I work it out now when it's my own thing I'm doing before I involve anybody else. Bit of a clue. But hopefully by the next video podcast, I will have something really exciting to share with you. And yes, so I'll speak to you then. You might see me pop up again later in the week with a shorter natural dyeing video. I'm almost certain I'm going to record that either after work this week or on a break. And then I'm going to try and upload that whilst I'm away visiting parents. Yeah, so I hope you're having a... I mean, I always say the same thing at the end. I hope you're happy, I hope you're well, I hope you're working on something nice and squishy and lovely, and I'm going to end it there. So thank you, and thank you for bearing with me if that was a bit rambling. Yeah, talk to you soon.